So you have to write paragraph on text based on this diagram that you're going to draw. It's very straightforward. So if you are developing, let's say, a simple one, hotel reservation system. So if you have a hotel reservation system, you need a diagram. And the diagram, and you need a table. Okay? So I'll show you both parts. So you have your text, which you have to write. The diagram will show you the three levels, which is system, module, and function. So what does the diagram look like? So if you're developing a hotel reservation system, it's very easy. So just draw a box to represent your system, hotel reservation system. Hotel reservation system, and then you draw all your modules. So this is the system level. This is your system. And then you draw your modules. So you should have 4 to 6 modules at least, right? So hotel reservation system, maybe the first one is manage rooms. So that's your first module, and this is for the staff to use to create a catalog of rooms available in your hotel. Then the second module you might have, which is the major one, which is room reservation. This is for your guests to book rooms. Then finally, maybe in my example, maybe the third module you have is reporting or analytics. Analytics, this is for rooms. So maybe this is for your senior management who can use the function to analyze how rooms can be booked, what periods are very busy, what type of client, guest book what type of rooms, depending on the profile of the guest. So a lot of analytics. Then you need to start writing functions for each of these. So, for example, manage rooms, the function is very straightforward. I can think of all your CRUD functions, create rooms, retrieve rooms, update rooms, and delete rooms. So these are all your standard CRUD functions and delete. Room reservation, you have a couple more functions, right? Okay, so room reservation, the function is maybe root check, query room availability, query room availability. Then the next function you have is book the room. After you query, you can book the room. And the third function maybe is pay for the room, pay room. So maybe these are your functions. And analytics, you can have your own functions as well, like, analysis by this, analysis like that. So here, what you have here is you just describe, you draw and describe the system, the modules, and the functions. So that's one thing you have to do. So the text that you write here, I want you to write, don't have to write too much, one paragraph of text to describe at a very high level all the system and the modules that you have. So at this paragraph, you can just write the system and the module. Maybe about 4 or 5 sentences just to describe what you are doing here. Then next, you have to do a table. And the table will go in more detail on the function. So your table will have 4 columns. Number, you have a module, you will have your function, and you will have a description of the function. So 4 columns like this in your table. So number 1, let's take room reservation. Room reservation and a bit more. So room reservation is your module. And room reservation, you have 3 functions. Query room availability. Book room. And pay room. And for every function, don't have to be too complicated, but I want you to describe what this function does, okay? Allows guests or staff to check if a room is available, ABAILABL, for a specified period, or a specific. Okay. So that's all you need to do. You need to describe the functions. One sentence will do. So you do it for every function, and then of course you would do for every module. So if you have 3 modules, and your table will expand, you have number 2 here, manage rooms, your next module. So that's the second part. So there's 3 parts, right? Text, diagram, table. I think that's all. Okay, so that's all you need for scope of system to write about. Then next, you guys can take your pictures. I will need to erase it shortly. So just take whatever pictures you need.
Teacher, sir,
Next.
is it necessary to have 5 modules if you have 5 members? Or there's
No,
limitation?
no, there's no limitation. Because remember, your project team does not need to be just you 5 to me.
Alright.
It can be 8 members, 10 members. You can make up those names. It must be realistic, lah. Okay. Let's talk about 3.2, which is exclusions. What are exclusions? Exclusions mean what are the things that are not excluded from this project. Okay? And exclusions are important because you need to be very clear with the stakeholders, which this document can be used to share, what things are not included in this project. So let me give you an example. You're building this hotel reservation system and it's web-based. So your exclusion could be, there will be no mobile, iOS or Android application, unique app for iOS or Android for this system. So that's one exclusion. So you need to describe a little bit, give it a header, and then describe what you mean by that. Okay? That's one example of an exclusion. Another example of the exclusion could be, I'm just giving you examples, you can Google and research and do a lot more about what things are left out. Hardware. Maybe the responsibility of buying and searching for the hardware is the customer, is the client. So your project does not include purchase of hardware. If you're developing a pure system, for example, maybe your exclusion is the client has to go and source and purchase the hardware before the project starts. So you need to put that in exclusion as well. Another example could be documentation. Documentation will not be provided in hard copy, it will all be soft copy only. So it will be very clear to the client. User training. Okay, most projects will have user training, right? But you might want to say that the user training will be conducted just for the existing employees only. No future training for new employees will be provided as part of the project. So you could make some assumptions like that, do a bit of research, do a bit of Google, find out what are the typical exclusions from projects like this, software projects specifically. So I want you to come out with a minimum of 3 exclusions, 3 to 5 exclusions for this section. So a heading, a title for the exclusion, and a short description, a paragraph to describe what the exclusion means. Okay, let's talk about 3.3, which is software process model. I understand that your project management class is Thursday, right? Tomorrow, right? Yeah. And you are currently only at chapter 1, right? Still chapter 1, right? So this section here is actually in chapter 2. But I'm not so worried because you guys are all software engineering guys and you've studied this software process model in probably your year 1, right? When you did software engineering as a subject. But let me show you anyway in your lecture notes. Let me go to your lecture notes for this, and I'll show you where it is. It's in chapter 2 of your lecture notes. If you open chapter 2 up, and you go almost to the end, you see section 2.3, selection of process models. So let me quickly show it to you. Remember, it's very far down. Here you go. Section 2.3, selection of process models. So they've given you a bunch of software process models which you can select to use for your project, for your software development project. Now, why is this important? You remember I mentioned before, in a software development project, a lot of the stakeholders are business guys, business stakeholders, right? They've never built software in their life before. They obviously will not understand in detail all these software process models. So you need to describe it and specify in this section of your assignment about which software process model you have selected, why you have selected it, what are the pros and what are the cons. I'll show you the section, I'll write it on the board shortly, but I just wanted to highlight that part because your business stakeholders have no idea. Why is it important for them to understand? Let me give you an example. If you chose rapid application development, one of the characteristics of rapid application development software process model is that your users must be very involved in your prototyping stage, right? Because they need to know their user requirements and tell you about their requirements so you can build the prototype for them. Now, if your business user doesn't understand that, that business user might be gone for a long holiday when you want to do that prototyping because he or she thinks they're not involved in all of this. So your software process model will educate them so that they know what their responsibilities are, the users, end users, the client, stakeholder, and what they have to do, what the level of involvement they have to do. So if you see this section of slides in your software project management class, it's a very good part. I think they stole it from your software engineering class, but it's a very good part because it tells you about each of the model in an overview form, waterfall, prototyping, how it works, diagrams you can include, evolutionary prototype, throwaway, red, what else? Let's go very fast. Advantages, disadvantages. Wow, so many. Incremental also is here. So you can choose one of the software process models. Spiral. Spiral is typically for long projects, right? You have only 4 months project, so might not be so applicable. So let me go through. I want to show you this slide. This slide I thought was very good. Hopefully you had this slide in your software engineering class last time, because it shows you all the different models and what it's good for. In terms of, if the project scope is a large scope, large scale, 2 years, 3 years, then waterfall and spiral might be more appropriate. But if your development time is 3 months, red might be more appropriate instead of waterfall. Okay, so you can see here your budget, manpower, user requirements, is it well defined or not? If you assume your user requirements of that project is not so well defined, you might choose another software process model. And user involvement. So this slide is very good, it's in your chapter 2. So you can use this as guidance to determine which one, because you will need to justify in the report. Okay? So let me show you, let me erase this and show you what you can write in this section. Here we go. So let me erase this. Okay, so in software project model, what you need to do? Okay, so there are a couple of things you need to do here. So this is 3.3, right?
Yeah.
Okay, 3.3 software process model. 3.3, and what you have to do is first thing you have to do is selection of software process model. I'll just use short form. So you have to justify which software model you have selected and why you have selected it. Then you have to include, I would suggest you include a diagram, if you want, on what the software process model looks like. And you know, right, all the software process model has a diagram that represents what it looks like. Let me give you an example. So if you take the red model, for example, this is probably the most famous one, right, that most people use to represent red. So this would be one of the models. If you took red, that's a model. If you took waterfall, that's another model. You just have to explain and justify why you select that model. Okay? So that needs to be clear. So this is here. This one includes a description and justification of why you select this. Then next thing you have to do is you should write down. What I like you to do is to write down the advantages, maybe 3 to 5 points of this model and the disadvantages. 3 to 5 points again. 3 to 5. Explain what are the advantages and disadvantages of this model that you've chosen. This is important because, as I said, the business client will not understand. So you need to write it from their perspective, why this is chosen or why this was not chosen and what the advantages and disadvantages. So try to write it. I know we are all software engineers, but try to write it by putting yourself in the shoes of your client who is not a software engineer. What are the advantages for him and because of this model, and what are the disadvantages? So for example, the disadvantages of if you select red is it will need high user involvement. It will need the client to understand his business requirements very well defined. So at least now the client, when he sees that, he will come prepared and say, oh, if I cannot specify my business requirements clearly, I need to prepare myself because this process model requires that. So that's why you should write advantages and disadvantages. And the last part, now it's a bit odd, but hear me out first. The last part you should do under software process model is write about, the modules that you did just now, managed room reservation, analytics. What you can do is, so you write about those modules. So let's say the first module is managed room. Okay. Then you write about the team who is going to be involved in that building that module. Okay. So for managed room, the team. So for example, I give some examples. The team involved, EVOLDED, is team. You can give it a name. Team A, who will be responsible for building this module, the managed room module. And this team consists of, and here maybe you just want to specify the number of people. So for example, I will have one back-end developer involved in this managed room module because it's very simple. And one front-end engineer, one front-end software engineer, front-end developer, sorry, let's use the same term, developer, and maybe one QA or tester, if you have that. So you do this for every module, and I think this is important because this ties back who the people are involved, and based on this process model, how they are going to be organized. Because this part hasn't been described earlier on by module who the team members are, right? So do this for all modules as part of your selection of software process model. Okay, I think that is all we have right now until 3.3. So now, if you guys have taken this down, I want to spend a couple of minutes on Microsoft Project, and you all can follow along or you can watch me do it, depends what way you prefer. If you find it, you learn better by following, you can do it. I'll try to do it slower. So we'll take a minute while you settle and take all your photos. I'll stand aside. Okay, everybody ready to start Microsoft Project? Okay.
So, may I ask if for our we have developed an app which is make appointment now. Can we extra because the one is for one clinic and then other than make appointment we also have one shop module for them.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, if you keep between 4 to 6, 7 modules, it's fine. Don't put too many because you only got 3-4 months to do the project, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay,
So
Yeah.
for the right side, the next modules, right? Is it for 3.3 years?
Yeah, it's very odd. Yeah, but it's for 3.3. Yeah, it's 3.3.
Explain for each
So for each module, you just explain who the team is involved. The idea of doing this section is that firstly, we don't have this information anywhere else, right? By module, who's involved, right? But also when the client sees this, he knows that, oh, okay, because of this software process model, now I got to know what we are building and who's involved. So it's very clear, right?
Do
we need to include the name.
You can if you want to. You can if you want to. Because you already have that actually in your other team structure. So you don't need to, but you can if you want to.
所以有人看吗？你看你的电脑有
Okay. So if I can have your attention, if you guys wanna see Microsoft project again and follow along, that'll be great. I'm going through very quickly the first part which we already did the last few weeks. But so if you've forgotten, you can follow along. So let me do, and I'm going to introduce you to a new thing today. Okay? Two new things. Okay, so I'll start off with a blank project again. So first thing I want to do, if you guys forgot, is I want to go to the bottom here and change new task to be auto scheduled. So I don't have to key in lots of stuff. Remember, it will put in the dates and days for me. Also, when you first start the project, you should go to project and enter the start date. So in my case, let's say now it's July, I don't want to start so soon. Maybe I want to start it on the maybe 1st of September, which is just nice on a Monday. Okay.
But
so,
for our assignment, we need to start during the
doesn't matter because you are doing planning it right now only, so you can start at a later date. Okay. So I enter task name. So like last time, I'm going to enter all the high level tasks first. I'm going to use waterfall so that's easier to follow. Gather user requirements. So I'm just going to enter very quickly. Yeah? And because I put auto, it will automatically give me all the defaults. And you notice the date starts on 1st of September, like because I said. So gather user requirements and then do my analysis, do my design, do my coding, do my testing. And finally, I go production or go live. I'm just going to do like that only. It's not got copyright, you know.
Huh?
You can see it, huh? Okay, so by default, you see all it gives 1 day and a question mark, right? I told you because it gives you a default since you specify auto schedule, right? Then you want to put in the subtask. So let's do the first one, which we are very familiar with. So to do that, I click row 2 and do an insert task. It will insert between 1 and 2, right? So a new task. Okay. So I'm going to put all the subtasks I want for under gather user requirements. So you remember last time we did this, right? So I said first thing I want to do is schedule all my interviews with the users. Schedule, you can type anything you want. I'm just going to put schedule user interviews. And my next subtask under gather user requirements is I want to meet the users, which is actually the interview, like meet users. Then after I meet the users, I need to document all they told me about. Document all the interviews that they told me, all the things I understood. And finally, I might not have gotten everything, so I might have to have clarifying meetings with them, right? To clarify some of the things I didn't understand. Clarifying meetings with the users. Okay? So those are the 4 subtasks, which is task number 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? So if you want them to be actual subtasks under gather user requirements, you have to select those tasks. And if you go under tasks at the very top, the menu, you will see the indent button, remember? So the indent task will make these 4 subtasks as ready, a subtask of gather user requirements. So when I click on that, it will automatically indent and highlight gather user requirements. If I want to make it very clear, I can include the WBS, which you should, right? The work breakdown structure, which gives it a proper numbering. So to do that, you move your mouse over I like to put it at the beginning, right mouse click, and then do an insert column. So remember, it's not like Excel. When you insert column, you have to select from one of the predefined columns available in Microsoft Project. So mine is work breakdown structure, so I know it starts with W, so you type W, B, that's the first one. So I select that, and automatically you see all the numberings come out correctly, right? Under 1, there's 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. Everybody okay so far? Yes, can follow? Okay. So next thing I want to do is I want to specify the duration. So schedule interviews, let's do it 2 days. Meet the users, so I need a lot of time, maybe 5 days. Or let's put 7 days. Okay. Then, you remember last time I told you, when you put 7 days, you notice it only calculates the working day, right? Because Saturday and Sunday is slightly grayed out because it's a holiday. So it's actually Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 5 days, and then the following Monday and Tuesday. So that's 7 days. Although it goes over the weekend, you think it's 9 days, but you don't work, right? Because of the gray part, yeah. Document the interviews. I hate documentation. I will spend a lot of time on it, so I think I need at least 3 days to, because only one person I think will be doing it. Then clarifying meetings, maybe I'll do 1 day, I think can calculate in 1 day. Okay, so once you put in the days, and you know, right, in this small project, I only have one business analyst. So I can't do all 4 things at the same time, right? I have to do it one by one, right? And anyway, I cannot meet the users before I schedule. I cannot document my interviews before I meet the users. And I cannot do my clarifying before my document interview. So it has to go one after another. So to make it go one after the other, you select the 4 subtasks again. And you use this link function here. You see the chain link here? And what it will do is it will make it go one after the other. So if you click on the link, automatically all the tasks go one after the other. You can zoom out from using this button here on the right, at the bottom here. Bottom right, the slider to zoom in and out so you can see the whole Gantt chart. So you see, now you have the timing already. Okay, so now that we've done this, let's add in 2 more subtasks that I want to do after 1.4 as part of gather user requirements. Okay, in my example, I'm putting it under gather user requirements. You can put it under some other subheading if you want. Okay, but for simplicity, I'm going to put it here. You're building a cloud-based system, right? You need to pay for a monthly cloud subscription, correct? So you need to put that somewhere in your project because you need to cost it as well. So maybe you can say, because you want to do development and the cloud service for development is PaaS, right? So PaaS cloud subscription. Okay. And or for those of you who are doing your kiosk thing, maybe it's not a cloud system, you want to purchase hardware, right? You want to purchase the kiosk. If you do the McDonald's type of kiosk system to pay, right? So let me add in another task here to say that server or kiosk purchase. Alright, and let's say I want to do all of that at the end of my gather user requirements. So you can do it manually. Last time, remember, we learned about predecessors. Let me open it a bit more. See predecessors? So you say, I want to do all this after I finish my clarifying of meetings. I don't need to bite so early because development hasn't started, right? So I can do it right at the end. So you can go here and say, I want this to happen after task number 5. So you can put 5 here. And you notice, you'll see after that on the Gantt chart. And the kiosk purchase also, I want to do it after number 5. So you can do it manually like this. Then you notice if I pull the Gantt chart bigger, you can see those 2 items, PaaS cloud subscription, happens after item number 5, and kiosk purchase also happens after number 5. So you can do it manually by putting the predecessor. Everybody okay so far?
Okay.
Okay, good news. Okay, now we are going to learn something new, which is resources. So what are resources? Resources are people you can assign to do the task, or resources could be things you need to purchase or subscribe to. So purchase hardware, you need the cost of the hardware. Subscribe to your cloud service, you need to pay for your cloud subscription, right? So when you put all this information, what you do is you put it under something called a resource sheet. And to go to the resource sheet, you see on the left here, you see Gantt chart, the name of what you're looking at on your screen is called the Gantt chart, right? So if you move your mouse anywhere to the far left of your screen, maybe just above the Gantt chart, and you right mouse click, you will get a new set of menus coming up, giving you the option to change to different screens. So now you're looking at Gantt chart, that's why it's ticked, and you want resource sheet. So you go to resource sheet, and your screen will change from Gantt chart to resource sheet. Okay, got it? So let's add in our resource. So the resource sheet is like a catalog of all your resources, okay? People as well as things you want to buy or subscribe to. So let's start keying in some resource lah. So who's involved in the project so far? The project manager definitely. Are you all okay? Resource sheet?
Yes.
So project manager is one of the persons in the project, and for people that you want to pay their salaries to, because you need to put costs in, right? So you have to pay the project manager, right? It's not free, right? So there are three categories: work, material, of cost. So for people, you leave it as work, okay? And then initials, you just leave it because it just takes the first letter of your resource. Group, you can put group for reporting later on. So for example, all the people who are working my project, I want to put them under the project team. So I just put project team. And then you have this column called max. So what is this max column at 100%? 100% represents 1 unit of this resource. So what does this mean? So in this case, 100% here means I have 1 person, and that person is the project manager. So I have 1 resource, project manager. So technically, if you have 3 software developers, you can put another line in software engineers, and you can put this, because it's 300%. You can do that as well. But for simplicity's sake in this class, I suggest when we do software engineers, if you have 3, you enter 3 lines. Software engineer number 1, number 2, number 3, and the max here is 100%, 100%, 100%. Instead of trying to combine them, and later on it might get very confusing. So we just keep it separate for this course. Okay, so let me continue. And then there is the standard rate. This is how much you pay the project manager by the hour. They calculate by the hour. But most of us, the first part of our assignment, we have to do the project cost estimation. We do it by month, right? Project manager, $10,000 for this month, this month, this month. Okay? But here they want you by hour, so you have to calculate backwards, okay? So let me erase this part and show you how you calculate backwards. Okay, I'll just use the top part here. Okay, I will need to use my calculator. You can do this in an Excel spreadsheet or you can do this manually. I'm just doing it manually. Okay, let me make sure I have my calculator up first. Okay, so how much would you pay a project manager for a month as a salary? 1 ringgit. She will work for 1 ringgit. Anybody want to hire? So say 10,000. So project manager, $10,000 a month. So, but this wants to go by hour. So typically what you do, we always calculate in a month at 20 working days. Okay? So you need to convert this into days. So to calculate $10,000 into days, you have to take $10,000 divided by 20 working days. So much a day?
500.
Okay.
500.
Right? Yeah, so $500 a day. Then you have to calculate by hour because that's what Microsoft Project wants that number in, right? So 500, and we assume 1 hour has 8 working days. So you take $500 a day, divide by 8, you get $62.50, correct? So $62.50 is what you would enter here. 62.50. So this is what you pay for an hour for project manager. Okay? So you can do all that. So you do the same thing for software engineers, business analysts, whatever job roles you have. Okay? So for this exercise, I won't be calculating for the rest, but let me put in the rest. So you have business analysts, right? I think you have only 1 business analyst. It's a small project. He's also part. She or she is also part of the project team. So I'll just group them there. And I only have 1. And business analysts might not get paid so much. So maybe I'll put $50 an hour. Okay. Then I have software engineer. So you can type it in full or you can type it SE, up to you. Software engineer. And I suggest maybe, as I said, for this course, just put software engineer number 1, number 2, number 3 instead of putting, lumping all 3 or 4 software engineers there. So it's easier to see for you. Okay? So software engineer number 1 is also part of the project team, and because it's 1 project software engineer is 100%, and software engineers will get paid more than business analysts, so maybe $55 an hour. Something like that lah. But you guys figure out from the month one. Okay, and let's say I have another software engineer number 2. So I'll just key in this. You can actually copy and paste, but I'm just typing it in so you can see. Also part of the project team. And 100% and also $55. Or maybe this one is a junior software engineer, you pay lesser, okay? So up to you, something realistic. So these are all people. Okay? Resources are all people. But we also have cloud subscription and hardware, right? Just now, that we have to assign some costs. So let's say here the resource name is the cloud subscription, the PaaS cloud. PaaS cloud. Okay. And because it's not a person, you should assign it to be a cost. So use cost. And this could be group, it could be cloud subscription. And you leave the rest blank because for cost, you would enter the cost as you update your spreadsheet. I'll show you shortly. Then the other resource is the server hardware, right, that you want to purchase if you are doing an on-premise type system like the kiosk. Or no, what do you want to purchase? The kiosk, right, not server. So let me change it to kiosk hardware. Kiosk hardware. Okay, this is the self-service kiosk like the MACD one, right? And this one is, I group it under hardware. Oh, I forgot to change the cost, sorry. So cost hardware also should be cost. Okay, so you start putting in all your resources like this. Okay, once you're done, let's go back to the Gantt chart and apply these resources to the Gantt chart. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. So you go back to the left-hand side of your window, same thing. Right mouse click, select Gantt chart. Okay, go back to your Gantt chart. And okay, there are 2 ways you can use to assign resources to your Gantt chart, the resource that you created. So the resource sheet that you created is like a catalog that you can pull out from. Okay, so to assign the resources, there are 2 ways. I'm going to show it both to you, and there are pros and cons. So if you push your Gantt chart aside a bit, you can see a column called resource names. It's there by default. Okay, if you don't have it, you can insert column and add it on. So let's say schedule user interviews. You can just click on that column because on that row, task number 2. Pop up the drop-down list, and you can see all the resources that you added on earlier in your resource sheet appear here. Okay. So schedule user interviews typically is the business analyst job, right? But for this example, I'm also going to add the project manager because project manager so far got nothing to do, make him do some work. So I'm going to add the business analyst and project manager. So you can see, of course, this field is too small. You can't see the project manager. I just drag it open. You can see a bit. And if you go towards the Gantt chart, you will see the business analyst and project manager get added on beside the bar there in the Gantt chart, right? But the cost is missing. Where is the cost? So to see the cost, and this is the other way you can add resources to a task. So let me show you on the next one. So for the next one, instead of selecting the resource for meet users, which should be a business analyst, I select that task, that role, go to resource at the top. Your menu. Go to resource and then click assign resource. It's the same thing, except now you can see the cost. Right? So all you have to do is select the business analyst. Oops. Let's see, select 100%, I think. Okay. Select the business analyst, 100%. 100%, as I said here, means 1 unit, which is 1 business analyst or 1 person. Okay. So when you select 100%, you notice something or not? It automatically calculates the cost to 2008. How did it do that? Okay, so for calculation's sake, let me show you. Business analyst, BA, 2008. How did you get 2008? Okay, to figure that out, I'll just show you. It's actually very simple. You go back to your resource sheet. And let's see, because I forgot, how much did I agree to pay for the business analyst? $50 an hour, right? Okay, so if I go back to my Gantt chart, the calculation is $50 an hour multiplied by one business analyst multiplied by how long is that task for that business analyst? 7 days. So $50 an hour times 8 times 7. You should get 2008. 8 hours, because this is an hour. To calculate how much a day, you must multiply 8 hours a day. Then you multiply by 7 days. Too lazy to do it in my head. So 50 times 8 times 7. And you get 2008. Okay? So that's how it calculates for you in a Microsoft project. Sorry, I think I selected the wrong one already. Yeah. So you go back there, you see 2008. So that's how it calculates it. $50 an hour, which you entered in the resource sheet, times 8 hours a day, times 7 days for this particular subtask 1.2. So if you change the number of days here, technically that should change. Okay? So let's try. So let's say meet users, I'm now rendering efficient. I don't think I will need 7 days like my planning. I think I will need only 5 days. So if you change this to, 5 days, you see the 2008 change to $2,000. Okay? Because now it becomes 50 times 8 times 5, which is 2,000. Got it? So it's actually quite straightforward once you know how it works already, right? So you do this for every line item that you have. Okay? So you can assign people to it as well as items which require cost to it as well. So you assign them to do that. And once you do that, once you start filling up resources and client and costs, you've got your project plan ready already. Assuming, of course, you fill up all the other details under analysis, design, you've got all your subtasks in already. Okay. So once you've done it, you got a project plan ready to go. Your project hasn't started yet because, so let me give you an overview since we have a bit of time left, right? So after you've created your project plan, you create a project plan before the project starts, right? On the day the project starts, then you need to update your project plan. You will create what we call a baseline. So you might hear this term in your lecture. If you haven't, I'll explain it to you. A baseline is when you start your project and you set a baseline. Say, this is the start. Originally, my plan is I will do this for 5 days, 2 days, 3 days. Okay. Then later on, when you are tracking the project, you want to update the project, you will update another column. So that, and the column will be the actual. So instead of 5 days, you actually did it in 4 days. So you can run reports to compare whether you are ahead of the project or behind the project. Right? So you always have a baseline to specify what was your plan, original plan, and then you will have update where you will update what actually happened. Instead of 5 days, I did it in 3 days. Instead of 2 days, I took 8 days instead because there was a delay. So you update all the actuals versus the plan. The plan you don't touch once you set the baseline. Then you can run reports to say which part am I late, which part am I on time. So that's the purpose of project management. But for this course, we will just show you how to update to plan for it, not the update part, because the update part will be quite detailed, right? Okay, before we go, I want to show you one last part, which is reporting, because reporting is also required in your assignment. So let me show you. In section number 4, project schedule, there is 4.3 reports generated. So you need to show some reports from Microsoft project, 2 or 3 reports, and you have to explain what those reports mean. Okay. So once you put in lots of data, you will obviously have nice reports to show. So let me show you some reports that you could look at. And that's why you need to play around with Microsoft project after you've put in all your data so you can see. And to run the reports, obviously you go under the menu item called report. I'll show you some reports. Under dashboards, you have a lot of high-level reports which you can run. So you have a report on cost overview. So if I click on that, you notice, let me zoom out. Oops, too small now. You have a report on all the costings that you've entered. Remember, we've entered some costings just now, so it works out to be 3,008. And then it also breaks down the costing by the different tasks that you have. So you can report on this as well, the cost overview. You can also report by, let me go another one, by work overview. I haven't done any work yet, so you can't see this. But you can do this as well. How many hours it consumes. Or aside from the dashboard, you can also go under resources and costs. So they have some reports here that you can look at. So if you go under resource overview, you will have by resource. Okay, how many hours they are allocated to work. Okay? Remember all the resource, the business rules that we had? Project manager, business analyst. So you can try running some of this. But as I said, as you put in more data, you will get more valuable reports. Like right now, you might not have as many like mine because we didn't enter so much, right? So if you finish all your tasks and subtasks, you can see all the reports here. For every stage, how much you will be spending. So once you get these reports generated, screenshot them, put them inside the, and say this one has a table as well. For every stage, what the cost is, what the actual spend, what the remaining cost, what the baseline cost. You might not have all the details because you're just entering, but yeah, all this can help you. So play around with it, and then you get a bit familiar, but start entering and updating your project schedules. Start doing it, and with your resources that I've shown you today. Okay. Yes.
How about the assumption?
Assumptions we'll cover next week. These assumptions, right? We'll cover next week. Next week we'll cover assumptions, and I think
Quality plans.
I think we can talk a bit, but you won't learn about quality plan until a bit later. But we can talk about it definitely, so you can start preparing, right? Okay. So next week we will go through assumptions and quality and risk.
Project scope.
Any other questions?
So
Yeah.
for the Microsoft project, I'll be only able to use it inside this lab, right?
Yeah, inside this lab, or you can get the software lah. It's $10 a day.
But actually we buy the Shopee the one actually we don't know the one is secure.
Most of them use, I think they get an enterprise license from companies and then they sell it individually. It's an actual license key that gets validated with the Microsoft service. It's not a cracked version basically. But you must get those where they give you a license product key. Then you enter the product key, it will validate for you.
You are subscribing it, or are you subscribing it, or also buy at Shopee?
That's for me to know and for you to find out. Yes.
And then
whatever's relevant for the project. So you have 8 clients that yes. Not all are right. Yeah, not all. But some will be similar, like the PM and like sorry, you were saying?
you really want to try to be able to keep short. Like if let's say this one I want to track this. Then like this one say
You have to set